Hey, Dickie boy. How's tricks?
That thing is still alive.
I don't know what you're talking about.
The police officer who arrested you. The one you spilled your guts to.
Hey, take a look at my face, Dick. He was trying to kill me.
He's a cyborg, you idiot. He recorded every word you said. His memory's admissible as evidence. You involved me. You're gonna have to kill it.
Well, listen, Chief. Your company built the fucking thing. Now I gotta deal with it? I don't have time for this bullshit.
Suit yourself, Clarence. But Delta City begins construction in 2 months. That's 2 million workers living in trailers. That means drugs, gambling, prostitution. Virgin territory for the man who knows how to open up new markets. One man could control it all. Clarence.
Well, I guess we're gonna be friends after all.
Richard.
Thinking of selling your car? It's easy at evanshouseSure.com. We compare your car's market value to thousands of others, so you know you're getting a fair...
We're coming by!
Buzz Lightyear. Over and out.
Target Buzz Lightyear.
Okey-doke.
Knew that would get him.
Sorry!
Target the planet of widows and orphans.
You fiend!
There he is!
I knew that would get him. Your puny Star Command laser is pathetic. Let me show you a real weapon.
Nice shot.
The key is to not pull the trigger, or squeeze it. Command laser is pathetic. I knew that would get him. Your puny Star Command laser is pathetic. Let me show you a real weapon.
Nice shot.
The key is to not pull the trigger, or squeeze it.
Can anybody read me? Do you copy? I can't make it in time. It's up to you now. Good luck!
Give it up, Lightyear. I win.
Evil never wins. Afraid of the dark, Zerg? Never wins.
Firing!
You failed, Lightyear! With that final blast, I had enslaved every free world in the Galactic Alliance. Wherever you go in the universe, you will hear my voice mocking you. Evil rules!
The noble humans of Stormwind are a proud, tenacious race. Though the recent invasion of the demonic Burning Legion decimated their sister kingdom of Lordaeron, the defenders of Stormwind stand vigilant against any who would threaten the sanctity of their lands. Nestled in the foothills of Elwyn Forest, Stormwind City is one of the last bastions of human power in the world. Ruled by the Child King Anduin Wrynn, the people of Stormwind remain steadfast in their commitment to the Grand Alliance. Backed by their stalwart allies, the armies of Stormwind have been called away to fight the savage horde on distant battlefields. With the armies gone, the defense of Stormwind now falls to its proud citizens. You must defend the kingdom against the foul mongrels that encroach upon it, and hunt down the subversive traitors who seek to destroy it from within. Now is the time for heroes. Now humanity's greatest chapter can be told. The stoic dwarves of Ironforge spent countless generations mining treasures from deep within the earth. Hidden within their impregnable stronghold of Ironforge Mountain, they rarely ventured beyond the wintry peaks of Dulmora. Recently, however, the dwarves unearthed a series of ruins that held secrets to their ancient heritage. Driven to discover the truth about his people's fabled origins, the great king Magni Bronzebeard ordered that the dwarves shift their industry from mining to archaeology. As part of the Grand Alliance, the stalwart dwarven armies have been called away to battle the merciless horde in faraway lands. In these perilous times, the defense of the Mountain Kingdom falls to brave dwarves like you. The spirits of the ancient kings watch over you, and the very mountains are your strength. The future of your people is in your hands. For 10,000 years, the immortal Night Elves cultivated a druidic society within the shadowed recesses of Ashenvale Forest. Yet recently, the catastrophic invasion of the Burning Legion shattered the tranquility
I'll
of
be
their
100
ancient
parsecs away,
civilization.
and you'll be stuck here.
Led by
Now
the
get to
Archdruid
it.
Malfurion Stormrage and the priestess Tyrande Whisperwind, the mighty Night Elves rose to challenge the demonic onslaught. Though victorious, the Night Elves were forced to sacrifice
Here's
their
what I got.
cherished
Look quick if you want.
immortality and watch their beloved forests burn. Seeking to regain their immortality, a number of wayward druids conspired to plant a special tree that would link their spirits to the eternal world. Despite Malfurion's warnings that nature would never bless such a selfish act, the druids
Bring your friends
planted
back
the great
anytime.
tree Teldrassil off the stormy coasts of northern Kalimdor. Within the twilight boughs of the colossal tree, the wondrous city of Darnassus took root. However, the great tree was not consecrated with nature's blessing, and soon fell prey to the corruption of the Burning Legion. Now the wildlife, and even the limbs of the great tree itself, are tainted by a growing darkness. As one of the few Night Elves still left in the world, it is your sworn duty to defend Darnassus and the wild children of nature against the Legion's encroaching corruption. The eccentric, often brilliant gnomes are held as one of the most peculiar races of the world. With their obsession for developing radical new technologies and constructing marvels of mind-bending engineering, it's a wonder that any gnomes have survived to proliferate. Over the years, the gnomes have contributed ingenious weapons to aid the Grand Alliance in its fierce battles against the Horde. Thriving within the wondrous techno-city of Gnomragon, the gnomes shared the resources of the forested Dumora peaks with their dwarven cousins. Yet recently, a barbaric menace rose up from the bowels of the earth and invaded Gnomragon. Aided by their dwarven allies, the gnomes fought a valiant battle to save their beloved city. Nevertheless, Gnomragon was irrevocably lost. The surviving gnomes fled to the safety of the dwarven stronghold of Ironforge. There they remain, devising strategies to retake their city. As a gnome of proud standing, it falls to you to answer the challenge and lead your curious people to a brighter future. Long ago, the Orcish horde was corrupted by the Burning Legion and lured to the world of Azeroth. For generations, the Orcs made war upon the human kingdoms of Stormwind and Lordaeron. Though the horde was ultimately defeated, a visionary young war chief named Thrall rose to lead his people in their darkest hour. Under Thrall's rule, the Orcs freed themselves from the chains of demonic corruption and embraced their shamanistic heritage. After years of wandering, the Orcs founded their own kingdom in the harsh wastelands of Durotar. Based in the warrior city of Orgrimmar, they stand ready to destroy all who would challenge their supremacy. As a proud defender of Durotar, it is your duty to crush your enemies, both seen and unseen. For the nefarious agents of the Burning Legion still wander the land. The vicious trolls that populate the numerous jungle isles of the South Seas are renowned for their cruelty and dark mysticism. Barbarous and superstitious, they carry a seething hatred for all other races. Long since exiled from its ancestral homeland in Stranglethorn Vale, the Darkspear tribe was nearly destroyed by rampaging Murlocs. Rescued by the young war chief Thrall and his Orcish warriors, the Darkspear tribe swore allegiance to the Horde. Led by the cunning shadow hunter Vol'jin, the Darkspears now make their home in Durotar, along with their Orcish allies. As one of the only surviving Darkspears, it falls to you to reclaim the glory of your tribe. Bound to the iron will of the tyrant Lich King, the vast undead armies of the Scourge seek to eradicate all life on Azeroth. Led by the Banshee Sylvanas Windrunner, a group of renegades broke away from the Scourge and freed themselves of the Lich King's domination. Known by some as the Forsaken, this group fights a constant battle, not only to retain its freedom from the Scourge, but also to slaughter those who would hunt them as monsters. With Sylvanas as their Banshee queen, the Forsaken have built a dark stronghold beneath the ruins of Lordaeron's former capital city. This hidden Undercity forms a sprawling labyrinth that stretches beneath the haunted woods of the Tirisfal Glades. Though the very land is cursed, the zealous humans of the Scarlet Crusade still cling to their scattered holdings, obsessed with eradicating the undead and retaking their homeland. Convinced that the primitive races of the Horde can help them achieve victory over their enemies, the Forsaken have entered an alliance of convenience. Harboring no true loyalty for their new allies, they will go to any lengths to ensure their dark plans come to fruition. As one of the Forsaken, you must massacre any who pose a threat to the New Order, human, undead, or otherwise. Once a nomadic people, the Tauren roamed the endless plains of the Barrens, hunting the mighty Kodo. Scattered across the land, the wandering tribes were united only by their common hatred for their sworn enemy, the marauding Centaur. Seeking aid against the Centaur, the great chieftain Cairn Bloodhoof befriended the savage Orcs who had recently journeyed to Kalimdor. With the Orcs' help, Cairn and his tribe were able to drive back the Centaur and claim the grasslands of Mulgore for their own. Upon the windswept mesa of Thunder Bluff, Cairn built a refuge for his people. Over time, the scattered tribes united under a single banner. Though the noble Tauren are peaceful in nature, the rites of the Great Hunt are venerated as the heart of their spiritual culture. As a tribesman of Mulgore, you must test your skills in the wild and prove yourself in the Great Hunt. One month ago, a terrible explosion tore open the skies above northern Kalimdor. At that moment, the great ship Exodar plummeted from the heavens and crashed upon the world of Azeroth. Having fled the ravaged world of Outland, the noble Draenei used the dimension-traveling Exodar to reach safe haven. Inspired by tales of the heroic alliance that stood against the might of the Burning Legion, the Draenei have come to enlist aid in retaking their shattered homeland. Dedicated to preserving life and upholding the tenets of the Holy Light, the Draenei hope to gather a new coalition of warriors to battle the Burning Legion and put a halt to its horrific burning crusade. Armed only with courage and their unshakable faith in the light, the Draenei look forward to finding the Alliance and ushering them towards the destiny that awaits beyond the skies of Azeroth. Now, the fate of two worlds rests in your hands. For nearly 7,000 years, the High Elves cultivated a shining, magical kingdom, hidden deep within the forests of northern Lordaeron. But 5 years ago, the undead Scourge invaded Quel'Thalas and drove the elves to the brink of extinction. Led by the evil Death Knight Arthas, the Scourge destroyed the mystical Sunwell, thereby severing the elves from the source of their arcane power. Though the scars of that conflict are evident, the remaining elves have banded together and retaken much of their homeland. Calling themselves Blood Elves, these grim survivors are committed to regaining the vast powers they once commanded. Inspired by the leadership of their beloved prince, Kael'thas Sunstrider, the Blood Elves now seek new sources of arcane magic and the means of defending their land against the undying horrors of the Scourge. As one of the few surviving Blood Elves, you must master your thirst for magic and help shape the destiny of your people. A hero, that's what you once were. You stood boldly against the shadow and purchased another dawn for the world with your life. But the evil you fought is not so easily banished. The victory you claimed, not so easily held. For now, the specter of death looms above the world yet again, and it has found new champions to bring about its final reign. Knights of darkness, wielding runes of death and destruction, bound by the will of the Lich King. This is the hour of their ascension. This is the hour of your dark rebirth. Emboldened by the return of their heroic king, Varian Wrynn, the proud humans of Stormwind led the Alliance to victory in its war against the dreaded Lich King. While successful, the campaign in Northrend proved costly, and the humans now seek to bolster their strategic holdings throughout the world. Under Varian's daring leadership, humanity now braces itself for a renewed conflict with its perennial enemy, the Horde. Yet, as the great cataclysm rips across the world, familiar threats have once again arisen closer to home. It now falls to you to defend the kingdom and uphold the honor of humanity. Great change has come to the enduring halls of Ironforge. Obsessed with the workings of the Titans, the dwarves retrieved their creator's mystical tablets from the fabled city of Ulduar. Activating one such tablet, King Magni Bronzebeard fell prey to a terrible curse that fused his statue-like form into the diamond heart of Ironforge itself. To compound this tragedy, Magni's estranged daughter Moira arrived, claiming her father's throne for herself and for her infant Dark Iron son. To avert civil war, the dwarves created the Council of Three Hammers, an uneasy coalition that would share power equally amongst the clans. Now, with political upheaval rising within the kingdom and the great cataclysm ravaging the surrounding lands, the future of Ironforge falls to brave dwarves like you. After years of imprisonment within the Emerald Nightmare, Archdruid Malfurion Stormrage has finally returned to the mortal world. Reunited with his love, Tyrande Whisperwind, Malfurion endeavors now to heal the corrupted world tree Teldrassil and rejuvenate the spirit of the Night Elf people. Yet as the great cataclysm shakes the boughs of their colossal tree, the Night Elves brace themselves against the coming storm. As war and destruction close in from all sides, it falls to Night Elves like you to stand strong and protect the enduring legacy of your people. Given the recent political upheaval in Ironforge, the gnomes have suddenly found themselves unwelcomed guests within the city. Leveraging their ingenious technologies and unquenchable spirit for adventure, the gnomes have begun to reevaluate their role within Cosmodan. Under the inventive leadership of High Tinker Gelbin Mechatork, the gnomes now plan a daring campaign against the barbarous Trogs to retake their former capital of Gnomregon. With the odds stacked against them, the gnomes are counting on brave heroes such as you to stand and be counted. Your people's greatest hour draws near. Empowered by the holy light and the undying strength of their convictions, the Draenei led the charge against the demonic Burning Legion in Outland. Now, with the Legion's defeat, they have completed the desperate mission that first brought them to Azeroth. Though some Draenei were sent back to Outland to revitalize their former civilization, the majority have vowed to remain and uphold their sacred commitment to the Alliance. Driven by a powerful vision, the immortal prophet Velen believes that a great war between the darkness and the light is fast approaching, and that Azeroth will be its principal battleground. As one of Velen's chosen, you must stand bravely before the shadow and ensure that your people are ready for the war to come. Led by their indomitable king, Gen Greymane, the proud citizens of Gilneas once stood with the Alliance against the vile, orcish horde that sought to conquer all of Lordaeron. Gilneas survived, but in the chaotic years following the Second War, the mighty kingdom drew ever inward. Distrustful of their former allies, the Gilneans erected a mighty wall at the borders of their land, closing off their nation and their hearts from an ever-darkening world. Now, many years later, as the seemingly unstoppable undead scourge marches across Lordaeron, human civilization once again teeters on the brink of destruction. As war and terror close in all around them, the citizens of Gilneas are faced with one terrible truth. Their mighty wall cannot hold back the dead for much longer. And worse, rumors of a new threat have arisen within the kingdom's borders, of feral nightmare creatures that walk upright as men, but hunt and howl as wolves.
I want the perimeter secured!
The great cataclysm has shattered more than just the world. War Chief Thrall, arguably the most powerful living shaman, has left his people behind so that he might stop the cataclysm at its source. Yet, in his absence, the Orc champion Garrosh Hellscream has become the Horde's new war chief. Though popular amongst the Orcs for his victories against the Lich King, Garrosh's reckless leadership has begun to cause a rift between himself and the other leaders of the Horde. With Durotar's natural resources nearly depleted, Garrosh seeks to take whatever his people need to survive, regardless of who stands in his way. A dangerous new era for the Horde has dawned, and it falls to brave Orcs like you to uphold the will of the new war chief and assure the dominance of your people. Exiled years ago from their lands in Stranglethorn Vale, the dark-speared trolls attempted to make a new life for themselves amongst the disparate races of the Horde. Under the leadership of the noble war chief Thrall, Vol'jin and his savage trolls had at last found the honor and purpose they had been searching for. But now, under the rule of the headstrong Garrosh Hellscream, the trolls fear that the Horde could tear itself apart. Vol'jin knows that whatever threats loom ahead, whether they be from within the Horde or from without, it is cunning trolls like you who will fight to preserve the honor of the Horde. Though Lady Sylvanas and her Forsaken finally took vengeance upon their hated enemy, the Lich King, their dark crusade in Northrend proved costly. Betrayed by Grand Apothecary Putrus at the Battle of Wrathgate, the Forsaken's devious plague of death was unleashed upon both the Alliance and the Horde to calamitous effect. Unbeknownst to Sylvanas, Putrus and his demonic ally, Varamathras, had taken control of the Undercity. As a result, the Forsaken were wrongly blamed for the traitor's atrocities. Though the Undercity was eventually retaken, Sylvanas and her followers still bear the weight of Putrus' sins. Mistrusted by the other members of the Horde, the Forsaken must now prove their loyalty to the cause and redeem themselves from their supposed treachery. To this end, Sylvanas has bolstered her defenses within the Tirisfal Glades and readied her undead forces for any contingency. As one of the Forsaken, you must use your cunning and viciousness to slay any who would pose a threat to Sylvanas' rule, be they human, undead, or otherwise. Great tragedy has rocked the Tauren tribes and shaken their once stalwart devotion to the Horde. A disagreement between the new Orc war chief Garrosh Hellscream and the beloved Tauren chieftain Cairn Bloodhoof led to a duel that ended in Cairn's death. With his loss, the vile matriarch Magatha Grimtotem launched a murderous attack, attempting to seize control of Thunder Bluff for herself. However, Cairn's brave son, Bane Bloodhoof, successfully repelled the attack and banished the surviving Grimtotem to the farthest reaches of the land. Under Bane's hopeful leadership, the Tauren people now seek to heal their wounds and restore the balance between the various factions of the Horde. To this end, a new generation of Tauren Sunwalkers has arisen to lead their people into the light of a new dawn and the promise of rebirth. As a proud tribesman of Mulgore, you must uphold the honor of your people and safeguard the lands of your ancestors. The past few years have seen unprecedented changes within the eternal land of Quel'Thalas. The Blood Elves, following the will of their crazed leader Kael'thas Sunstrider, channeled dangerous, chaotic magics to transform their sacred Sunwell into a gateway of unspeakable evil. While Kael'thas and his demonic masters were eventually defeated, a different kind of transformation occurred within the Sunwell itself, as a dying Naru sacrificed its life essence to reignite the Sunwell into a fount of holy energy. Now, the Blood Elf regent Lorthamar Theron sees a new hope on the horizon for his people. Over time, the Sunwell's light could cure the Blood Elves of their cursed state, but many still cling to the arcane powers they've procured, and are hesitant to relinquish them. As one of the remaining Blood Elves, you must fight to protect Quel'Thalas and help redeem the soul of your ancient people. The wily, cunning goblins of Kazan have lived in relative peace for generations. Though some of their race sided with the marauding orcs during the Second War, most goblins have remained neutral throughout the various conflicts between the Alliance and Horde. Ruled over by corrupt yet highly affluent trade princes, the goblins created a virtual paradise for themselves throughout the islands of the South Seas. Their ingenious feats of engineering and vast trade fleets helped make their island capital of Kazan one of the great technological wonders of the world. But now, as the elements themselves rise up in anger across the world, the goblins' mechanical paradise will be put to the test. For very soon, fate will force them to choose sides in a conflict that will shape the very history of the world.
You are a Pandaren, born and raised on the mysterious Wandering Isle. While many of your fellow Pandaren prefer a tranquil life, the lure of adventure burns in your blood. Recently, the Wandering Isle has begun erratically weaving about the world's oceans. The air grows cold, and your island home is spiraling toward disaster. As one of the most promising of students at Master Shang's monastery, you may just be the salvation for your people. But first, you must complete your training.
Iladari. Demon hunters. With countless worlds burning in the Legion's wake, you answered the call. Yet these mortals in their ignorance have come to destroy their own salvation. Our time is short. I will deal with these intruders. You must venture to Mardoom and retrieve the Sargerite keystone. Now go. But remember, should you fail, all worlds will burn.
The reason I know Peter Manderson is an heterosexual as opposed to an homosexual is because I have...
Like you'd know.
What is it with you homosexuals?
What?
Convinced that every other bloke on the planet's an homosexual... Saturday night, ba-na-na-na-na-na-na. Pretty baby. Saturday night, ba-na-na-na-na-na-na.
Do you think I look like Peter Mandelson?
No.
Oh, thanks.
Come on, baby.
Do you think Peter Mandelson's gay?
No way, Jose.
Oh, like you'd know.
What is it with you homosexuals?
What?
Convinced that every other bloke on the planet's an homosexual as well. You're obsessed.
No, I'm not. I'm not. Anyway, how do you know Peter Mandelson's straight?
The reason I know Peter Manderson is an heterosexual as opposed to an homosexual is because I have first-hand experience of his wanton carnal appetite.
Like when?
Like when I was down the South Bank, the night Labour got in. Me and 10 million others singing Things Can Only Get Better. Monsieur Le Manderson squeezed past me in the queue for the kebabs, and I can tell you now, it was practically penetration. Saturday night.
Oh, stop it! I know what flipping night it is without you caterwauling that odious piece of music at my head.
Ooh, you big fat homo. Here, have a face pack. Do you want aloe vera or see your Scylla?
Just admiring Thora Hurd's box room, actually. Actually, could I just take a little bit of time out to admire Thora Hurd full stop? She's a lass from Lancashire with a heart of gold. Half hip replacement, half hot pot. Aloe vera, please. In fact, I can't say I've ever met or heard of another Thor. I mean, what's that all about? Eh? Maybe I'd get on in acting if I had a unique name.
You know what you need, mate?
What?
Feng Shui. It's all in this magazine. The reason why you can't get any acting work is because your drawers are in the wrong place. I reckon if you rearranged your room, you'd be in Silent Witness by Christmas.
I've been in Silent Witness.
Yeah, well, maybe this time you won't fall off the slab. You know, there's a Feng Shui exhibition on at Earl's Court tomorrow. Why don't you come with me?
Oh, no.
What?
I suddenly feel terribly old.
Well, carry on with your face pack. It takes years off you.
No, but look at me, Linda.
Oh, do I have to?
It's Saturday night, and what am I doing?
You're doing my head in mush.
I'm sitting in, pigging out, drinking wine, slapping mud on my face, and planning a sunny run out to a craft fair.
It ain't a craft fair, it's Feng Shui.
No. This is not going to happen. I mean, not so long ago, I'd be zipping up my party pants, doing a bucket load of drugs, and painting the town pink. Now I'm knocking 30 and I've transmogrified into Anne Widdecombe.
It's all right to stay in, you know. There's a Leonardo DiCaprio film on later where he bears all.
Couldn't give a monkeys if he sticks a feather up his arse and sings YMCA. Linda, it's Saturday night. Come on, slap your war paint on, let's go clubbing like the old days.
I can't be arsed. Who you ringing?
Real friends. True friends. Okay. Loyal friends.
Hey, Degsy! Hey, it's Tom. How's it going? Fancy meeting in town for a drink?
Well, I found these new pills. Yeah? Called Tony Blair's. Make you grin like a Cheshire cat.
Oh, come on, they're wicked, boy.
No? All right. Well, when Leonardo calls. Anyway, you've got to go now. Bye.
Who are you trying to kid? You know drugs don't agree with you. They just make you paranoid the next day. You say everyone in Hello magazine's freaking you out.
You don't get a come down with ecstasy.
That's like saying you don't get reward points with Sainsbury's. Anyway, I thought we'd put a stop to all.
Oh, God, you foolish child. I was just trying to tempt Degsy out. I mean, you take everything so literally, don't you? I mean, as if I'd do drugs. I mean, as if. Well, I don't intend to sit around all night watching some pube-free adolescent getting his kit off. I'm going out.
What about me?
I asked you if you wanted to come, and you said no. Which, by the bloody by, ruins my pulling chances, quite frankly.
Aye?
The sight of you gyrating around in skin-tight lycra is enough to turn any man queer.
Get a life!
That's exactly what I'm doing!
You're gonna miss Casualty!
Oh, my God. So? You think I'm glued to that stupid little box, do you? You think I can't survive a week on this planet without my weekly fix of NHS drama? Huh? You really don't know me at all, do you, Linda Hughes?
I'll tape it for you, shall I?
Yes, please.